Well, Matt, we love you, and it's our honor and privilege to have you welcome you back to the stage as our Evening of Honors host. Thanks so much.
By the way, that's the theme song from Apprentice. Very well done. I learned something about myself that I love watching me. That was, I was like, this is great, this is uncanny, because I just watched this earlier in my room, because I always watch that scene where Arnold tells me that, and I also found out I'm not nearly as classy as Miss Minnesota, who, when she's honored, she's saying, no, thank you, and I'm like, yeah, let me hear it, come on. Give it up for Matt Iseman. I'm going to take my name tag off. I feel at this point, hopefully you know who I am. And thank you so much for that introduction. This truly is a family affair. It's so awesome to come back here and see so many familiar faces. This truly is my family, the Arthritis Foundation family. And I know we didn't all choose to be in this family, but we are in this together. And Ann, what you've done has been so sensational in transforming this organization and making it the powerhouse that it is. You and your new chair, Roland Bing Chang, fearlessly led the volunteer staff. Bing, where's Bing? There you are. Ann and Bing and all of your crew, you guys deserve kudos for what you've done. I mean, I'm the one who gets to be up there on TV, but you guys are the ones who day in and day out steer this ship towards the brighter place on the horizon and make that difference. And it's all the volunteers for the Arthritis Foundation around the country, and the sponsors, the donors, and the other partners, the people like Lily who donated the lovely flowers. That was good. I never would have gotten that either, so I was like, Lily's a flower? I didn't even know that. But everybody who's a part of it, this monumental mission that is the Arthritis Foundation, you're all keeping this engine humming. You're making a difference. So I say thanks to you. I signed up for Celebrity Apprentice for a reason. One, I wanted to be on TV. And two, I knew it was an opportunity to spread the word about this cause in the Arthritis Foundation. There are so many causes that deserve people's attention. I was on the show with 16 people. Each of them had a charity that was important to them. But for me, arthritis is personal, and I know for everyone in this room it is, and it's something we need to make a higher priority. And that's why I was willing to go on Celebrity Apprentice and tell my story and stick my neck out there and risk looking like a fool, although clearly I am a very hard man to embarrass. But, you know, the thought of having Arnold Schwarzenegger tell me, get to the chopper, do it! Or even worse, having my mom call me up and go, you embarrassed me with your behavior. I mean, that would really be tough. But I was willing to do it because there are more than 54 million Americans who are facing the same struggle that I am, who are facing arthritis, this incapacitating disease. And tonight, we're going to recognize the breakthroughs and the milestones in science, in fundraising, and raising awareness. Because these honorees inspire us all. They inspire us to be our best while we continue to push forward on the journey. And like I said, treatment is great, but I love the C word, the idea that someday there'd be a cure. And so, right. Probably a little too late to help me, but for someone else. But Ant kind of took you through Celebrity Apprentice, but this is this on now? So this is really where I want to tell you what it was like being on Celebrity Apprentice, because it was unlike anything I've ever done in my life. Because I will tell you, I've hosted American Ninja Warrior. Now we're heading into season 10. Fans of American Ninja Warrior? I know we have a future competitor here, Katie. But what was so different is now I was the person who was risking something. And for me, that changed everything. But there was a reason to do it, and that was the Arthritis Foundation. And we talked about last year being a champion of yes and living now with purpose and passion for that. And so the good news is I did learn something about being a champion, and that's from this group here. And now, oh wait, did I go over it? Wait, you got to see the logo. I added my name to the bottom of the logo. I don't know. You just said Schwarzenegger, but I was like, I think he forgot to add my name in there now that I'm the champion. I mean, like, I'm famous now. I have to tell you I'm famous. Maybe it doesn't work. I got recognized on the flight out here. And the flight attendant stopped and he goes, oh my God, you're the man who won Celebrity Apprentice. And then he said, why are you sitting in a middle seat? I'm a man of the people, I'll have you know, and I was paying, so daddy's cheap. But this was me on the very first day of Celebrity Apprentice, and you can see that smile because I had no idea what lay in store for me. I had no idea how truly hard it would be, that we were working 15, 16 hours a day. This reality TV, I know a lot of people wondered, did we actually do the work? It was 6 days a week from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. And you were constantly on camera. Everything you were doing was being scrutinized. But I knew I had to go out there not just to represent my mom, but to represent this group, the Arthritis Foundation, because I knew I wasn't just competing for myself. I was competing for you, and I was also competing for Arnold Schwarzenegger. So this is my childhood bedroom. That you can see, this is the room I grew up in. I grew up with Arnold Schwarzenegger on my bedroom door there every night. Go to sleep. Do it now. This is the room I grew up in. I took this photo about a month ago because it hasn't changed. I won't let my parents touch it. I'm actually going to Colorado in 2 weeks, and I'll be sleeping there. Right, ladies, who's attracted to that? My mom literally goes, Matt, it is so embarrassing because she won't say I wouldn't say her age, but she's a mature woman, and she goes, people think I have a 13-year-old son. I'm like, Mom, I'm a stand-up comedian, and I talk about ninjas for a living. You kind of do. But I will tell you, one of the highlights for me was when I went on this show, I got to meet that man who'd been an idol of mine for decades. And I remember the moment that I got to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger because we had a cocktail party with all the celebrities. And I'm standing there next to Eric Dickerson, Hall of Fame NFL player, and Layla Ali, Muhammad's daughter and world champion boxer. And I'm starstruck talking to them. And then I felt his presence. Arnold entered the room. And he truly is the most charismatic man in any room. And I felt it as he came over to us. And he looked at Eric Dickerson and he's like, Eric, my man, I think the Rams could still use you in the backfield. And then he turns to Layla and he goes, Layla, let's go a few rounds later, champ. And then my idol turned to me and he said, hello, I'm Arnold. He literally asked me how I got on Celebrity Apprentice. And I had to tell him, I'm on American Ninja Warrior. Arnold grabs my arm, he looks me up and down, and he goes, you don't look like you have the build to do well on that show. And then I tell him, no, sir, I host American Ninja Warrior. And he goes, yeah, okay, nah, I recognize you now. Because, you know, it's funny, though, you look darker on television. That's my co-host, sir. He's African American. Apparently, he'd never seen American Ninja Warrior, and apparently, this was us meeting. This was the moment here. We were flexing. And I couldn't believe he'd never seen American Ninja Warrior. I couldn't believe that. But even more importantly, I couldn't believe he didn't subscribe to Arthritis Today and recognize me. How does he not have that up on the cover, man? So I knew I was starting at a low point. The boss literally had no idea who I was, but I knew I had some advantages. Because going into this show, I'm a doctor. I played baseball in college. By the way, how embarrassing is it that both of those photos are in black and white? I'm not that old. But more importantly, the biggest advantage I knew that I had going into this show, my charity was personal. For me, the Arthritis Foundation isn't something I chose. It's something I'm a part of. And this is me from 2010. This is so long ago, it's the old logo. And somehow I look 15 pounds lighter. I'm not sure, that must be a distortion there in the image. But this is what I learned on Celebrity Apprentice, is that it's all about the story. And this is something we've learned on American Ninja Warrior. Stories are the reason people care. Stories are the reason we cheer. Stories are what connect us to people. On American Ninja Warrior, some of the people say we don't want to see the stories. And I'm like, without that, it's just 2 hours of people playing on a jungle gym. It is. Stories are the reason we connect. And there's something else. When you think about a charity, I want you to know this. People don't give money to a charity. People don't give money to a disease. People give money to people whose stories touch them. So this guy, this is Isaac Caldiero. Now, some of you who are huge fans of American Ninja Warrior may know him as the only person who's been an American Ninja Warrior champion. We've done 9 seasons, over 4,000 runs. Isaac Caldiero is the champion. If you go on YouTube and you look at the videos, his run, his championship run, the greatest run in the history of American Ninja Warrior, isn't even in the top 20. You know who the #1 run is? This girl, Mighty Casey. She's 5 feet tall and 95 pounds. Why did people love her run? Because it was unexpected, because of her story, because she did things people didn't expect of her, because she changed what people thought of the sport. Because of her, we now have women competing. We now have young girls who dream of being American Ninja Warriors. It's about overcoming obstacles and breaking down the limitations in your mind. And I hope that sounds awfully familiar to people who are living with arthritis. So this is me. With me. I always bring me around to keep me company. This is from 2 weeks ago. I just got my infusion to treat my rheumatoid arthritis. And you can get ahead of me if you want, but or a head of me on my head on a stick. That sounds something like Game of Thrones, but it's supposed to be, the message being, I want people to know you're not alone. And I have rheumatoid arthritis. We talk about the 50 million people with arthritis, only 1.5 million people with rheumatoid arthritis. We all have our own stories, but none of us is alone. And we can all be connected. So this was Celebrity Apprentice. This was Harry Potter. This was my highlight. This is me nerding out. This is how I felt having the opportunity to go on and represent the Arthritis Foundation. But we did 13 tasks over 6.5 weeks, and I loved every second of it, even when I was fatigued. And I knew I couldn't quit, because it wasn't just about me. We started with 16 different celebrities. That's Vince Neil, lead singer of Motley Crue, Brooke Burke, bikini model, Eric Dickerson, Portia Williams, all of them more famous than me. Snooki, that's Snooki giving me rabbit ears. But in the end, there were 2. It was Boy George and me. And Boy George is a world-renowned celebrity. Literally in the finale, he wrote 2 brand new songs just for the event. He brought on Natasha Bedingfield and Mel B from the Spice Girls. What did I do? I brought 2 ninjas and did that. I thought it was impressive. But what I also did was I told my story, and Ann showed part of it. And to me, that was one of the best moments of my life, getting to stand on the stage in front of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Tyra Banks. Caitlyn Jenner was there too. I mean, it was a room full of people and a room full of familiar faces, people like Stan and Adrian Rubin and Colleen Ryan. And one of the biggest challenges I had was being the least famous person going into the finale. Arnold Schwarzenegger told me, the biggest question I have about you, Iseman, is how are you ever going to raise money to compete against Boy George? How are you ever going to compete with somebody who's been famous for decades, somebody whose Rolodex includes every famous person in the world? And I told him, It's because I'm not going to be alone. I've got 50 million Americans by my side. And this is the Arthritis Foundation. That was CVS. That's literally my pharmacist from CVS for the past 15 years who came out. And I got to invite 35 people to come out. And every single person who came was from the Arthritis Foundation, including some Harding Award winners who were very subtle. Look at that. This was me when we got a $100,000 check. I'm a very good dancer, I must say. And this, in the end, the man who didn't know my name ended up saying it when it counted the most. And I will never forget the moment when I heard Arnold Schwarzenegger say to me, "Matt, congratulations. You are the new Celebrity Apprentice." I swear, they didn't show it. I'm pretty sure he called me a praying mantis. I don't understand how he's been in America for 40 years and still sounds like a bad guy from Saving Private Ryan, but I don't care. I don't care because he said my name, and that meant not that I won, but that we won. And this is me on the Today Show. By the way, you can't cash that check. I tried. I mean, look at that. Look at that. We raised nearly $1 million. And we had a chance in LA to thank Stan and Adrian Rubin. But one more time, Stan and Adrian, can you stand up? So every single person in this room made a difference. Ann, you moved heaven and earth to make it happen. Mike, you figured out ways that may have been like Godfather money laundering things that could send you to jail, but we made it happen. But Stan and Adrian Rubin wrote the check that put us over the top, and that meant we got an additional $300,000 for our cause. And the money was great. I'm not going to lie, the money makes a difference. But I'll tell you what I found out that was more important was sharing my story. Just this morning, I went in to do some television to promote this event, to the Arizona Daily Mix. And I told my story, and after I finished, a producer came up to me, and she said, "I was just diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. Can you help me? Can you introduce me to people?" And I know Mariah Leach is here. Mariah, where are you? Stand up. She's 7 months pregnant, and she's here. She's part of the community, though, that's formed thanks to the Arthritis Foundation, thanks to these meetings, thanks to groups like this. This was Saturday night in St. Louis. This woman came out with my head on a stick, which is not creepy at all. But she came out to my show because she said she saw me on Celebrity Apprentice, and she was so excited to see somebody living a life with rheumatoid arthritis, living a life with arthritis, something people see as an obstacle, and instead being out there kicking butt. And she wanted to come out and thank me. And that's Chris Farley's scary face in the corner. Sorry, I should have edited that better. But it taught me something. This is why we share our stories. So for those of you who feel ashamed or who feel your limitations, feel empowered. Because know that every time you tell your story, you can change someone's life. You can be the one who motivates them, who gives them hope. And I talked about this last year. It is so amazing how when we stop focusing on what we can't do and we focus on what we can do, you'll be amazed at what you can accomplish. And that's why I want to show you something I never thought I would accomplish. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk.
Well, that's a wrap from Mount Midoriyama. Thanks to everyone who watched, and we'll see you next season on American Ninja Warrior.
Now, some of you laughed at that. That is the correct response.
That's why I'm not a ninja. Oh my God, that's hard.
That is not how the obstacle is supposed to work. I completely failed right there. In fact, I failed so poorly, I ended up having to have surgery on my foot. That's me. I look like Wolverine. How cool is that? I spent last Christmas watching Hallmark movies on oxycodone. It was amazing. Now, you may be wondering, why would I possibly show you me completely failing at an obstacle, literally so badly, I was carried to my trailer and had to have surgery. And I showed it to you because this is my point. To make a difference, to be a champion, you don't have to hit a buzzer. You don't have to be able to do a pull-up or a sit-up or complete a course. Honestly, you don't even have to be able to stand up. All you have to do is be willing to show up and fight. And that's what we're doing here tonight. And that's why we share our stories. And that's why we share our passion. And I know I've talked about myself a ton tonight and watched my own videos. But tonight, what I want to say is, I'm not the star. And believe me, it pains me to say that, Mike. Tonight, I'm not the star. You are. This night, you guys are so Hollywood, you're all like, do we take a photo with that? Is that thing real? No. For the way, if anyone's looking for Mickey Mouse's star, I'm going to fix it soon. I just want to say that I'm the one who gets to be up here. I'm the one who got to be on Celebrity Apprentice. But you people are the ones who are making the difference, who are out there, who show up, who fight day in and day out. It's the passion for a purpose that makes the difference, and that makes you the Arthritis Foundation's Champions of Yes. So once the microphone goes down, we'll get back to the show. That was it. I just really wanted to tell you guys what a difference it was to be on Celebrity Apprentice. And again, and Mike and everybody who made such a big difference, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to represent you, and thank you for letting me be up here in front of all of you, because you were the ones who put me over the top.